Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages with our very special guest, Oriana Leckert. Welcome!
Sally, hello. Thank you so much for
And
having
hopefully I
me.
said your name right.
Said it perfectly. I don't know. I don't like hear when my name is spoken. Maybe you didn't, but I think it was perfect.
I'm horrible at names.
Close
Anyway,
enough. Yeah.
I am so happy to have you on. I'm so happy because I literally thought we already did. That is how, in my head, I'm like, you're a part of us. And I mentioned I'm bringing you on again. And Stacey and Colleen had to say, what are you talking about? She's never been on before. And yes, we absolutely should. So I've been on several panels with you. Love you to death. I love everything that you do for the indie romance community.
Well,
For a lot of our audience, though, they have not met you yet. So would you mind just introducing yourself for us?
I would love to. I'm so honored to be here, by the way, even if it's for the first time, hopefully the first of many.
Yeah.
I'm Oriana. I'm the head of publishing at Kickstarter. I've been at this job, it'll be 6 years in November, which is the longest I've ever been at any company. So it's very exciting. For context, I typically describe my job as like one part publishing industry expert, one part crowdfunding consultant, one part life coach, and one part cheerleader. Those are sort of the various roles that I get to play for the creators that I work with. I've worked with literally thousands of authors, editors, publishers, agents, illustrators, podcasters, journalists, just getting to like help people figure out how to raise money to fund their dreams. It is really an incredible job that I'm so lucky to get to do.
I'm so excited because we have seen a rise in what do you like maybe the past 4 years of special editions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the availability for readers to get their hands on them, the idea that books will launch with them, the transition from readers wanting maybe to get a physical book to waiting to read a book until they have the special edition available. And that is when I think Kickstarter, I think special edition to the max.
Yeah.
When I think what is the next special edition going to be? What is the next level? I think we're going to see it on Kickstarter. So I get very, very excited. So is there anything that you can fill us in on? Any details, any experiences with what kind of either where you see the industry going or what advice you have to give authors that are listening, maybe. And readers, you are getting like a behind the scenes here. So we're pulling the curtain open so you can have a peek.
loving the
Um,
tea.
Yes.
Yeah, well, so the first thing I want to share is that like less than an hour ago, a new romance special edition campaign has become the highest funded publishing project of the year. I don't know if you guys are watching Adriana Herrera and Ali Hazelwood's After the End. It's a
I
dystopian
love it.
romance collection with 6 authors. It is wild. Yeah, they just really passed within the last hour. Our previous highest funded project, also a special edition, was Wraithmark Creative's Book of Remembrance from Aragon, from Christopher Paolini from the world of Aragon. So I feel like to break that news on this pod of like the romance girlies coming for, the fantasy boys, that feels pretty exciting. Um,
Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
yeah,
that is amazing. And we're talking seven figure currently, could go eight.
Goosebumps.
Why not manifest eight figure
totally.
in a Kickstarter backing? And it looks like it is a collection of four,
Oh, did I say six? Yes,
eight.
sorry.
Is it? Yeah, it looks.
No. Well, there's eight.
Four to
That's
eight.
It's 4 books. The
Okay.
books flip. So
Oh,
each
they're
book
flippy
has
floppy
two
Oh,
books.
authors.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That's so cool.
I
oh,
love a
I
flip
had that.
floppy. Yes,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So first of all, I've seen a flippy floppy done a couple of times, I think.
Bonkers Romance did it. I think
Yes.
I think Bonkers, what is
And that
it?
was
Bonkers walked so they could run. I mean, Bonkers is no small potatoes. They also have done several high six-figure campaigns,
yeah.
but I think that was the first time I saw it in like a big major way here.
Same. And also, it's funny that you said that because what Katie Roberts does the Bonkers Romance, I believe. And she was the first author I saw do a Kickstarter.
Well,
And this,
you and Katie, yeah, I mean, you and Katie were like the early adopters, and I think like the beginning of the like romance special edition follow on onto Kickstarter. So I'm so proud to have gotten to work with you both.
I love it. And love seeing it blossom now. And just taking a peek at that campaign, I do want to point out there's ebook digital versions that have nearly 3,000 people who purchased just the ebook version of these books. Do you happen to know, are these new releases or are these previous works?
So I'm pretty sure they're all new stories. I
That'll
believe
do it.
so.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. That'll do it. For a moment, I had a little blossom of hope in my
We could take our old stuff. Okay, can I ask? Because I'm one of those authors that's terrified of Kickstarter. Like, it seems so overwhelming to me. Like, I've heard people that, like friends of mine that are authors that are like, basically quit your day job. That's all you're going to be doing is getting Kickstarter. And so I tend to avoid it like the plague. Willow jumps in, I avoid. I like walk around and be like, what else can I do? So please break it down for someone like me that like,
Yeah.
what are the steps? Because it does seem overwhelming, to
Yeah,
get to do
for
it.
sure. And look, I do tell all of my authors, if you are equal parts thrilled and terrified when you press the launch button, you're probably doing it right. Um, yeah, it's work. It is for sure a lot of work. I don't know that you need to like literally quit your day job. I mean, Willow's probably a better one to ask than me about, the day by day of it. But I think a Kickstarter can be kind of as simple as you want or as complicated as you can make it. There's like a lot that goes into figuring out, not every Kickstarter is going to make, $1
$1
million
million.
and like six whatever 4 books in 3 versions and all kinds of swag. It is super possible to do a simple campaign. There's many different ways to do it. I would say up top, the number one thing, any listener who's even a little bit Kickstarter curious, the best thing you can do for yourself is find 5 campaigns and back them, even just for $1, just to like see what other folks are doing. I wind up using this line all the time, but like I'm an expert in Kickstarter because I stare at Kickstarter all day long. And you too can stare at Kickstarter all day long and you can find all the best tips and you can steal them for yourself. But backing a campaign also gives you a good perspective from the other side about like what makes this also really fun. Like, yes, it is a lot of work. Any DIY endeavor, you are doing all the things yourself. But a Kickstarter really activates like people's FOMO, people's excitement. It's a way of like leveraging, like focusing all of your like most diehard supporters into helping you do a creative endeavor, like doing it together in this really thrilling way. So it can be really fun to be a backer and just like get that perspective. Did you want to say something, Willow?
I do. I just want to add on that just from like a logical business side also, it's critical that Kickstarter has an aspect of business that other avenues don't, in that you get to do it's basically a pre-order. You get to see how many people are interested in this new venture that you want to do, this new edition that you want to do that might be costly. That if you have X supporters, you could get X number of books and you're not wasting money. And if you think that this idea is going to be fantastic, but you're not getting the support that you thought you would, you're saving a lot of money instead of going in, getting these books and then being like, crap, now I can't sell them. But you could also save money in that, I think I might be able to sell 100. You have 2,000 people order. You're going to be able to purchase them at a cheaper rate because you're buying a larger number. So getting that kind of information is really valuable as a business person. And that's what I really love about Kickstarter. I had no idea when I did the Decadence, the first one that I did was it hit $35,000. The goal was $25,000 because that's what I needed to just do the editions. I needed 25,000. I didn't even hit 25,000 until the last day. And I wasn't sure that I was going to even be able to do them. And then I was like, okay, well, I have enough people who will give this a chance to let me order the 100 plus 25 free from 48 Hour Books, right? I went ahead and did it and then I had all this excess, but they were paid for. So the cost of doing another one, I was like, let me go ahead and do another one. The books are out there now. Readers have them in their hands. Readers are posting about them. Maybe they'll get another copy. The next one was a 6-figure Kickstarter because people saw the quality. And again, at that time, special editions weren't as prevalent. And the quality of the books that I had was definitely something to feel in your hands. So from there on, I've done 6-figure Kickstarters since then. And I'm also able to tap into an audience that's now there. They'll get notified when I do one. And half of the audience comes from Kickstarter. They aren't my followers. I don't have access to them in another way. So those are a few other aspects of Kickstarter that I really like from a business perspective. That's more pragmatic and less the cheerleader that Oriana is with rah, rah, let's do this together with our readers, even though that aspect is really special. And Dana from Influence talks a lot about that as well with her. Oh my gosh, what is it called? If you reach a certain level, then stretch goals. I've never done a stretch goal. This will be my first Kickstarter that I'm getting ready to launch. Actually, I think when this airs, it will have launched. It's my first time, so I'm excited, but I'm only doing a stretch goal because Dana's familiar with it, and it actually scares me. I know Willow Winters is scared of stretch goals.
That's so
I'm
funny.
like,
Mark it on the calendar.
I know, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Okay,
just
so let's say we want to go mid-range. How long does this process take? Because I've heard like, like, oh, you should have started that a while back if you want it for now or something like that. So
Yeah, I just wanted first, I'm just gonna like really emphasize a couple of the things that Willow just said, and then I promise, Stacey, I'm coming back to your question.
okay.
I do like from a business perspective, a Kickstarter does flip the traditional publishing P&L model on its head. You do get to get your money first and assess your audience size before you do a thing. So it is a great way to sort of test the ground for like moving into a new genre, doing something a little more ambitious, making the kind of project that like, yeah, if you just had to guess at how many people are going to, shell out for like a really expensive box set and hope you don't go broke in the process, you're going to be putting yourself in a lot of jeopardy. Another thing that I'm really proud for Kickstarter to do is that we really like give you your audience. This has been like part of the makeup of Kickstarter since before like we learned that all of the social platforms had the ability to just like revoke that access by tweaking their algorithm or like, changing things up. Like you will get during the course of a Kickstarter a tremendous amount of demographic information about where your backers are, what time of day they're backing, what sort of devices they're using. You can even make like custom referral links so you can get really, really granular with your outreach and promotion and figure out what works. We also encourage you to talk to your audience during the course of the campaign. This comes back to stretch goals. You'll be sending backer updates while your campaign is live, and you can do a lot with those. Not only like thank your people and like really be excited to with that they have joined you, but if you decide, okay, we've hit our goal, if I can raise another $5,000, I will either be able to like add spot gloss and a ribbon bookmark or make a new kind of swag. Send your backers a survey. The people who have already supported you with their dollars, say, what would you like? And leave a comment box, and maybe you will learn that actually everybody's been desperate for you to make candles that smell like the suitor, and maybe that's something you can do, and now you can deliver it for them. So I just wanted to say those points. Okay, so Stacey, some practical stuff. A typical Kickstarter runs for about 30 days. Once you are more experienced, I've started recommending maybe running them for 3 weeks instead of 4. The vast majority of your action happens the first and last week, so that middle period can be kind of a plateau. Willow, you run really long campaigns, so feel free to disagree with me.
I do. I'm the oddball though, and I've done 60-day campaigns every single time, except for this last one because it was our first time doing it. And I honestly didn't want it to explode too much, but I didn't have a lot of content to post every single day. I don't plateau when I do the 60 because I post every single day and I have so much to post about. But this upcoming Kickstarter with Dana, we are doing 30 days. And again, I'm leaning on her a lot for this. I had this idea for a tarot deck based off of Merciless series. And I've done so many Kickstarters, what, like 7 or 8, but we are so tapped out. And with these 3 kids and, piano and gymnastics and all of the things, I'm tired. So I just ran it past her, like a little idea, because we worked in collaboration with a few other people with Kickstarters also, specifically Laguna, who does comics, and Author Nation, who runs the book signing rave. And I just floated it past her, and she came back with like a ball of energy and ideas, and then I was able to hit her with more ideas. So I am leaning on her and influence and their entire team, and they prefer the 30-day, and I'm happy to do a 30-day, but I'm just excited to do it at all. So it's
Yeah.
going to be amazing. I can't wait.
But so Stacey, to get back to your question, so let's posit that a campaign should run about 30 days. You probably also want a pre-launch period of at least 2 weeks, maybe longer. Pre-launch pages are designed to collect followers. We see a very high conversion, like 30 to 40% of pre-launch followers convert to be project backers in the first day or two. So any work that you do in advance to like get people signed up, especially if you think your audience might not be super familiar with Kickstarter, you can do a pre-launch period where you're reminding people, go make your account now, go to the other room and get your credit card so that you can get those early bird rewards, so you can be one of the first backers, that sort of thing. So that's, let's say, about 6 weeks of like running the campaign. Your prep time is going to vary pretty dramatically based on who you are, what your bandwidth is, what kind of project you're making, what your team looks like, that sort of thing. The sort of like way in to start figuring this out is you're going to want to look for a balance between what you need and what you can get. That's going to kind of help you shape your campaign. So what you need is, well, what are we making and what are your costs? So get quotes, get quotes at like Willow was saying, 200 copies, 500 copies, 5,000 copies, whatever. Understand like the range and what your different price points are going to be based on how many units you are going to sell. Figure out what your rewards are going to be and what your production costs are for those, not to mention, assuming you're doing fulfillment yourself, envelopes and tape and bubble wrap and like, sort of all of those things. Also figure out what your shipping costs are going to look like. So that's all on the one side of like what you need. And then
Also,
go ahead.
that sounds like a lot, but there's a marked difference between when I started doing this 5 years ago and today. You can go look today at what other people are doing, what their tiers are, what their shipping price is. Like there's basically a cheat sheet. I even saw, I did a quick skim of Allie's Kickstarter that you sent a link to because I hadn't seen it. I haven't been online a lot. And she actually mentions Bonkers Romance in there and Katie Robert because it's 8 different authors within that $1 million Kickstarter that Allie's running currently. And it's very similar to what Katie was doing with Bonkers Romance. And she gave them the credit within that biography paragraph right there and how it came to be. So even though it might feel like a lot, it's not. Go on to Kickstarter, look, and I think this is why you said find 5 that you like and back them. And I have backed some oddball ones I got from, I think it's called Blackstones, or it's some bookshop that did like a special edition of this witch book that has nothing to do with my industry at all, other than the fact that it's a book, but it was gorgeous and it's sitting right there. It's called The Discovery of Witchcraft. I love it.
Oh, I think I remember that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they'd done a few of them and I was like, it's beautiful. I'm totally gonna back this one just because. But you can look to see what are other people doing. And the one project that I'm getting ready to do that has taken forever to come to fruition is because I have never seen anybody do it. And I'm not referring to the leather bound that Dana and Influence are doing. I'm referring to a different project. And then I also have another so it might take longer if no one has ever done what you're doing. Right. And because you need to find the vendor, you need to see who can do it. You need to make sure that it works. Like our custom Kickstarter, it took us a while Colleen can tell you, to set up for this because we had to prepare 60 plus romance books for names to be changed so that we could do it in a timely manner. And we had to do a few of them and make sure that they were accurate and get some samples out to influencers to show and to get in the hands of readers and be like, this is what we're doing. This is what this looks like. This is how we're doing it because it hadn't been done before. So part of that education, either of your own team or your own individual self, if you don't have a team, and the audience. So if you're not doing something that's a complete off the wall, oddball thing, like custom names in a romance book or this other thing that I'm doing later on that I'm not going to mention right now, even though I totally could. I probably should. We do have the pre-launch page is up where you can follow. I'm going to do black write with it's a secret notes inside of romance books and secret art, some of it not safe for work art, which meant that the factory's government had to approve of it, which was a first for me and takes a little bit of time. But it's going to be a lot of fun, but I've never seen anybody do it. So I couldn't reach out to a friend and say, hey, where are you getting these printed? Because nobody's printing them because it's a first. And then I had to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to get the flashlights? And we tried 8 different flashlights and I ended up having to get a really expensive one off of Amazon. And now I'm like, crap, how do I buy this in bulk for cheaper so that we can actually give these to readers? So I'm coming up with hurdles that I wouldn't have if it wasn't so weird.
Is that under your own account? I'm looking for it.
It is. It's under my own account as well as CD Reese, Fiona Cole, Laurelyn Page, and Monica Robinson. And I feel like there's another person. Oh my gosh, who is the other person? Is that 6 people? Am I 6? CD Reese, Fiona Cole, Laurelyn Page, Monica Robinson, and me. There might be one other author. Yeah. But she's very busy.
All that got forgotten?
No, I know.
I know who the other one is.
Yes, it is. It might be. She's going through some things personally. Yeah. So it is on my page. It can be followed. It is going to be a lot of fun. We are figuring out the details though. And when you have to figure out details, it is going to take longer. But for a lot of authors out there who do not have special editions, the details are written. Everybody's doing it. Do it too. That is like, there's no reason to stress about it or to look at this long list that Oriana said, do this, do this, do this. Shipping cost is one that's like, oh, people are freaking out about right now for good reason. But you could literally look like their prices for shipping are there. It's there on every single one you go to. You're going to see prices for shipping. You're going to see like, well, how many books is that? Well, is this one like the market, not the market. What's it called when you look up the details for business markets or not market business models? The models are there. Sorry, that took me a while. I
You
took
just
a
have to
long
do the
way around.
research and the planning beforehand.
Exactly, which you could do with a glass of wine, a singular glass of wine. You could do market research by just looking at
Or a
different
margarita.
or a single margarita. Like we're not talking a whole bottle here, right? Yeah. So, and that's just my 2 cents because it sounds intimidating when we talk about preparing this and the length of time and all this, but it's really not intimidating. Even this extra hurdles that I'm having, the most frustrating part is just having to wait for flashlights to come in the mail, right? Because I'm impatient. So,
And it's also, I mean, yes, it is like moving into a new area, like learning some new ropes, whatever, but like you guys are fancy, successful authors who have like done many, many like new things, like new angles for selling, new ways of reaching your readers. I do not think that this would be harder than any of the many, many other things that you have done before in service of your own writing career.
agreed. It's also a learning experience, which increases dopamine and a distraction from reality. So I say do
I
it.
need all the distractions I can get.
Yeah, a thing we could all use right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us more detail about what you do like day to day. Like what's your
Yeah, people ask me that a lot. I travel a lot. I'm on Wednesday, I'm going to a day-long The People of Publishing conference here in New York, and then in the morning I'm flying to Florida on Thursday for NINC. I did 3 cons in August. I did Gen Con for the first time, which is tabletop board game convention, World Con, which is sci-fi fantasy, and then Dragon Con, which is my favorite convention, the most high-key chaotic of any convention. When I made my budget for this year, I had 15 trips in it. I don't think I will make all of them, but most. So a lot of that. I did 6 panels at Worldcon, 7 panels at DragonCon. At NINC, I have 13 meetings pre-booked, like before I even get on the plane. So a lot of really like just being in the world of the publishing industry, talking about Kickstarter, helping people like sort of demystify it, helping them figure out if it might make sense for them, doing my best to set them up for success if they decide that it does. That's like out in the world. At my desk, I have an email job. I answer emails all day long, everything from like, I got your business card or somebody gave me your name. Here's my draft campaign. Will you take a look and share any feedback you have? Or like, I get pretty broad leeway to decide how closely I'm going to work with any given creator. I am also but one woman. I'm the head of publishing, but I'm also the entire publishing team. So everybody, yeah, it's all just me. So I need to be a little bit careful of like how many phone calls I have with you, how many emails I answer, that sort of thing. I look at every project that launches in the categories. I reach out to authors sometimes. People find me. I have a weird name. I'm extremely online. So, a lot of just conversations one-on-one and in smaller groups.
Yeah. Will you be at Author Nation?
I will be at Author Nation. Absolutely.
Excellent. Inez and Sasha Black, we'll be hanging out together as a little group. We should totally do drinks
Cute.
together
Oh,
and
yeah,
talk all the
totally.
things. Yes.
I love that.
As an aside, and as your position, I've been on several panels with you. I think 3 or 4. We've had drinks multiple times, discussing different avenues for Kickstarter and where things are going and how we can really amplify it. So it's got to be like a really joyful time a lot of times, but a headache and a pain.
No, it's so thrilling. It really is. I love this job. I told my therapist recently that I'm like over-identified with my job and that'll be a problem for me someday. But
I can relate to that. I don't have anything else. I'm like, this is what I do. This is my hobbies. This
Yeah.
is my personality.
Yeah, it really like in some ways it feels like my job is just professionally being friends with people, which like could there be a better like
No, yeah.
how lovely is that? And just like getting to brainstorm with really smart people. I met I met a woman at a small conference called The Future of Publishing, and she got in touch with me last week. And she had told me then that she runs a goat farm and is also a writer. And so we just got on a call, and she was like, "So what can I do to like raise money in service of?" She wants to fund more scientific research for goats. And so we just like,
I
No,
just
yeah.
heard scientific research, and I'm like, yes, yes.
yeah. So we were like, you could do a calendar, you could do like, anyway, just like we just talked for 45 minutes about like ways you could kind of like, she could like use her writing and use Kickstarter and figure out like ways to, yeah. So like, I never know what's going to happen when I open up a Zoom window. Our CEO chatted me the other day and was like, "Oh, forgot to tell you, in 2 minutes, I'm getting on a call with a best-selling author. Do you want to join?" I was like, yes, yes, I would like to join. And then it turned out that it was like someone I knew from like a much bigger company, somebody else whose company I had just heard of and had written on my to-do list. Look this up, seems like they're doing interesting things. So like I never know. And then that's going to be a huge campaign probably in November. Yeah. It's like different all the time, learning all the time. I often say that like each conversation makes me smarter for the next one because like somebody tells me about where they're printing or like a new thing about sprayed edges or like why they don't put ISBNs on their books. And then like the next person I talk to, like that knowledge comes in handy.
I
Yeah,
freaking love that so much. And speaking of huge campaigns, when Brandon Sanderson broke the internet, what was that? 72 million?
42 million.
42 million. Okay. 42 million. I remember you saying it wasn't his first, and you thought it was going to be big, but you didn't know how big. Do you have just with because $42 million? Hey, Stacey, let's do that, please. Let's do a flippy floppy, 42 million. Okay, me and you.
Put that on the to-do
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
Just manifesting. We're just going to do that on
Tomorrow. Got it.
Tuesday. Do
To-do
you
list.
have right? Like, but his campaign wasn't anything that was like off the wall insane, right? It's something that is manageable that any author could envision and do, or almost any author could envision or do. He obviously had the audience and the audacity to do it, which is what most people just need. Stacey, you just need the audacity. Just go buy that
I'm
off of
lucky.
Amazon, please. But do you have any kind of like gut feeling or any kind of hunch of like what the next Kickstarter is breaking the internet? What it might be in the publishing realm.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. A thing that I've been working on for several years, which I think I will see come to fruition next year, is I'm trying to make Kickstarter be a reporting entity into Circana, who runs BookScan, which powers bestseller lists and like that sort of thing. So I have been having a lot more conversations. I mean, Brandon's campaign certainly, a lot more people in the traditional publishing industry were willing to return my emails
Yeah.
after
You know what's
that.
funny is that Stacey and I have both just well, she's signed her contract. I'm waiting on mine to finish with the publishing house, and I gave them Kickstarter numbers, and they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know what to make of it, and I gave
Totally.
them my direct sales numbers. So having BookScan be a part of
Yeah.
it, having it like be
Count as them
solidified.
being like, oh, that's
Yeah.
an impressive number to have
Yeah.
that should be included. Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally. And so the reason, well, I don't have to get too technical about it, but like, for those who have been on our platform for a minute, we shifted a year ago from like tier-based rewards into SKU-based, like shopkeeping units. So rather than like people have for years asked like, well, how many books are sold through Kickstarter? And like, we don't know. Like, there's kind of no way to, well, now there finally is, especially with our pledge manager.
Mhm.
And so, in addition, like, I think the bestseller stuff is really powerful. Legitimate book data is really important when I'm talking to folks in the traditional industry who like don't understand things. They don't really understand direct to consumer sales or any of these sorts of ways
Mhm.
around, but just capturing legitimate data of Kickstarter and to demonstrate what a powerful force this is. I think that's going to really change a lot of minds. I mean, it's been a very interesting. So my predecessor in this role, who is a brilliant, genius, wonderful woman, Margot Atwell, she's still one of my dear friends. When she was doing this job, the world was different, Kickstarter was different, and like a lot of her focus was like smaller indie creators, a lot of cachet, McSweeney's, and like, these sorts of like literary darlings. When I came in, one of my big pivots was moving into the indie space. It just like the timing was right. There were a lot more like avenues available to me to do that. And so I feel like now I'm going to be able to take all of this like incredible momentum and like accomplishments that indie authors have been doing under the radar, bring that back and put it in the faces of folks in the traditional industry to understand that like actually all of this stuff works together. Like a lot of my conversations with trad, especially with like agents and editors, is like any kind of like side project or like companion that people can do on Kickstarter will also be in service of building their brand traditionally. Like a really lovely example of that, not a massive campaign, but Charles Sewell, who's another fantasy novelist, he had a book coming out with Harper. It was like the start of a new, I can't remember, a trilogy or a new series. And he wanted to also make this companion book that was like an art book with like maps and family trees and extra illustrations. So he
I love that.
kickstarted the companion a few months before his trade launch, and Harper was on board. They let him do like an Instagram takeover, like these sorts of things. And so then when the book was fulfilling, that was the same time that Harper was launching their book. So, everybody now his name is on everybody's lips and his books are in everybody's TikToks, and like it all feeds each other. So anyway, I don't
And
know.
yeah, and there's positive and negative, because I feel the indie world, we create a lot of new stuff. We were the ones that first, I think, started special editions. We were the first to do Sparried Edges. And then the houses, not, and I'm walking that thin line now. I'm going, it's okay. They start taking over. And so to me, in Kickstarter, if you have a huge house name like, Sanderson, does that hurt the indies that like would have got, like it
I
does
totally
feel like,
understand.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, I am like, now signed with a house on one of my things, and they've taken some of my old stuff. And we're going to have a meeting about doing, a Kickstarter with them with my old stuff and getting that
Yeah.
back out there and trying new stuff. So it's like I walk that in line, but I just constantly feel like houses will absorb whatever the indie's doing, and then we end up having to go somewhere else and find something else to strive in, and then they come they start sneaking over to that.
Yeah, I think that encourages y'all to just keep innovating, which, yes,
Yeah.
of course, like that's where the innovation is coming from in the industry. To answer your question about someone like Sanderson, like Kickstarter is not a zero-sum game. I mean, many years ago in 2021, I think Keanu Reeves did a Kickstarter for a comic book. And like that was sort of like the big hue and cry in the comics industry was like, oh, well, if Keanu Reeves is on the platform, like nobody's going to back my campaign. Well, that comic, it was about like a man who's like so angry that his rage allows him to travel through time. Like, listen, if that's the kind of comic book that you want to read, there are 10 other comic books that will appeal to you on Kickstarter right now. And that's exactly what our data showed, that like, yeah, somebody like Keanu, somebody like Brandon, I'm sure Ellie Hazelwood and Adriana Herrera, they're bringing a bunch of new readers to Kickstarter for the first time. Not all of them will stay, but a significant portion of them will, especially if there are plenty of other dystopian fantasies and romance novels and things that appeal to them that they will be able to see right now. Once they've sort of like caught the Kickstarter bug, now they're in it. And so I do think, the rising tide lifting all the boats, like you exactly see that sort of thing come into play.
Definitely. And there are pros and cons, and there's a lot of things happening within the indie romance author community. And we've always seen publishing houses waiting to see what works. Indies are playing, indies get something going, then they jump on it and they're able to do it cheaper and sometimes faster, but they're not able to be innovative.
Yeah.
And I think right now, Kickstarter is very heavily indie, and it's probably a good sign. Hey, get on it. Hey, do it. And I get the whole rising tides. And you're right, Stacey, that publishing houses might come in and then bam, it's a bunch of publishing houses. But the one thing about Kickstarter that's just like Amazon is that readers don't know which is which. They just know which one they want. So providing that good product and being there, having the audacity to do it and to compete and to create that trend, I think that's what we should be focusing on rather than who's going to copy us. Let them stay behind us. Let's just keep moving forward.
They are slower. It takes them like 2 or 3 years to catch up. So we'll
So
be
slow.
like,
I was on a panel with Matt Dinneman at, I think it was at Worldcon.
Right.
blurs together. And he had a big extended metaphor about that, where like, publishing is the ocean, and all of the big publishers are like gigantic cruise ships, and all the indie authors are like careening around on jet skis, like, running circles around them. And like, listen, plenty of them are like crashing into the rocks, and like that
Right.
didn't work at all. But then you have the other ones who are like, way far out into the distance doing these wildly innovative things, and like these big boats are like slowly creaking, trying to like turn and follow them. It was a good metaphor.
Matt is Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Dungeon Crawler Carl,
So we
yeah.
met him last year, and then Sean found this book in the bookstore or whatever, and reading this book, and is like so obsessed with this series. And
That
he
was
was
a
like, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a TV show or a movie or something. He's like so happy. And I was like, you met him, right? Like, and he was totally fangirling on the sofa and was like, oh my God.
Side note, did he ever finish the series?
It's
It's
still
yeah,
there's
yeah,
he
it's
will
it's in
Oh,
progress.
it's in
okay.
progress. There's
Yeah,
several more books to
I
come.
think
I mean,
it's a
but
10.
he
It's
said
either
that
a 10 or 12 books. He writes Lit
Wow.
RPG,
yeah.
which is like a sort of a whole new, and yeah, he's become the sort of like poster child for Lit RPG. There was a panel
Wow.
at Dragon Con called "My name's not Matt Dinneman, but I also write Lit RPG," which I
Yeah.
texted to him, and I was like, "Bro, you're so famous. This is like, I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
Can I ask you what like event, like out of all, like I know Dragon Con's your personal favorite, but for like authors learning stuff, or you think that they should be at, like which like event do you
Yeah,
go to that you think like authors should be more at this? They should know, like they learn more, you
that's
know?
such a good question. I mean, the reasons for me to be at any different con are really different than for like an author. I also like, I don't always know how much things cost, which is such a privileged thing to say, but like that's a part of the calculation that like authors need to make for themselves. I think, there's fan cons and there's craft cons, right? Like I think Author Nation is probably the pinnacle of the craft cons. It's big. If you want something that's got hundreds of people, multi-track classes and sessions and things like that. I mean, I honestly don't love that it's in Vegas. I think it's like makes the
I
whole
know.
unnecessarily expensive, and also I hate Vegas. But it is a really good show. The people who run it are, I think they are doing things right. For fan cons, if you want to go to a fan con, it's likely because you want to be selling your books. And so that's going to really depend on like, do you want to be at the like more romance specific ones? Do you want to be at a Comic Con because you have like a crossover into those audiences? Like, I think that decision is going to be really different author to author. And also, like, I go to so many and I go to different ones all the time, because I'm just always trying to see like where I can reach new audiences and like find out new things. So there's not that many that I do. I mean, I've done Dragon Con, Author Nation, New York and San Diego Comic Con. Those ones I've done like many years running now, Dragon Steel, but that's because of our special relationship with Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, most of them I go once or twice, and then like next year I want to go to the London Book Fair for the first time ever. Even though I've spent my whole career in publishing, I've never been to London Book Fair. When I was also running comics, I did a lot of like TCAF and like ECCC, like smaller comics ones. So anyway, long way of saying it's going to be up to each individual author to figure out to like balance what their goals are with the costs of each different convention.
I have a fun question.
Give it.
It might be a mean question. What's your favorite book?
Oh, well, it's not it's not mean.
Anybody
It is
answer that? That's just like
I
well,
impossible
know.
question for
it's
me.
very funny because actually my personal reading tastes diverge pretty significantly from like
I
the authors
imagine.
that I
Yeah,
support.
because you
Um,
zip everywhere and you get to meet
yeah,
everybody and like
yeah,
all sorts of genres, and then also the reading material, right, from manga all the way to like long
totally.
series to yeah. So I'm just curious if you have like it doesn't even have to be one, it could be a few, it could be like yeah.
I mean, no, I can tell you, it's just like very like my personal reading tastes run toward like hipster literary fiction, which is like tough to say without sounding like snooty. Um, I mean, like my favorite authors are like Margaret Atwood and Julio Cortázar and like Italo Calvino, David Foster Wallace. I love All Your Faves Are Problematic. But but I also like read really voraciously. I mean, I used to read a lot more genre. I read fantasy a lot as like a teen. And then I moved away from it when I like went to college and became a snob. But like when I was at Worldcon, we went to a cute Elliott Bay bookstore and I bought The Tainted Cup, which just won the Hugo.
Mm.
I also read a bunch of lit RPG earlier this year because I knew I was going to Gen Con and I did not want to walk into like that particular space without a solid understanding of like what the genre was like. I never quite did. I used to actually proofread romance novels long ago in a previous life, but I have not done a like, I should read like five of my biggest authors' books. Just really like to be conversant, but also because I'm sure that they're fun and thrilling and wonderful. So I don't know, maybe you guys should give me recs of what I should
Yeah.
read next.
I freaking love that answer. I just want to say, I don't like to put people on the spot, but I was like, you've just seen so many people and consume so much. And I'm just curious. So I have not read Dungeon, Crawler Carl
Roald
yet,
Dahl. Yeah.
but Sean is trying to pull me into that. And I haven't read fiction since like Cody's been born. I've been doing a lot of
It
Oh,
blows my mind. I just
I
like what?
know. I've been
yeah.
writing a ton. I just worked on two different outlines today, two very different ones. One's Stardew Valley meets
I'm
Sex.
excited about this one.
I need the escape. Like, give me something that's like ridiculous. But I'm gonna take it so serious.
I
Um,
would say Dungeon Crawler Carl is fun. I mean, all of his success is so well deserved. Lit RPG is known like the like hardcore practitioners. The whole deal with it is that it's got all these like stats as if you are playing like a video game, that's what makes it crunchy. And DCC is like not as
Nice words.
crunchy. Yeah, I am not surprised that he's the one who blew up. I've also been told most lit RPG is like 80 to 90% written and read by men, whereas DCC has a more broader audience because the crunchy stuff is like not that disruptive. It's generally interesting. You can skip those pages, which I definitely did.
Yeah, my pedicurist, I told him about it. We talk all the time. He's a video gamer, so I'm often talking about what Sean is doing to connect with my pedicurist. He gives the foot massages. He's amazing. My nails, they always look sharp. But he said I brought up that, and he said that I believe it's Japanese, but there's a comic called Solo Leveling
I've
that
heard this word.
it was a
Yeah.
book turned comic with a TV show, and he was like, Sean should read that. So if you like that, I think that could be a fun one. He said that was his original of that
Yeah.
style.
There's a Japanese word, I want to say like otaki of like person wakes up in totally
Yeah,
foreign environment.
yeah.
A lot of lit RPG starts from that premise.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what he was talking about too. And I'm like sitting there like nodding my head like
Yeah.
shit, I should have
Okay.
been paying more attention to what Sean said so I could have this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also have a all girls graphic novel book club, which has been running for like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
That's how I keep at least vaguely abreast of like what's going on in comics because my personal reading taste will very rarely include comics and graphic novels, but I like gathered a bunch of smart friends who are much more plugged into the genre, and I'm like, how about you tell me one a month, like what to read,
Yeah.
so I can like keep vaguely
Keep into
understanding.
it. I have one coming out on Kickstarter with Laguna Comics
Totally.
and Dana from Influence in spring. It's for my demon romance. So I'm excited. The art is coming together beautifully and I'm like obsessed. But at the same time, I also just want an art deck with it because I just like looking at beautiful art. Anyway, we have taken up so much of your time. Are there any
Oh.
last minute shout outs or plugs or anything that you want our audience to know about?
Geez, I can't wait to see what you bring to the platform. That is really like so exciting. I guess I should probably say like sign up for the Kickstarter Reads newsletter or any of our other newsletters if you want to see. The Kickstarter Reads is monthly. That's the one that I run. I usually, when we can fit it, I put in like what is Oriana reading, and I get to say like one sentence about a book. But it's also just a nice way to see like some of the coolest projects. We didn't talk really about the like community aspect of campaigns and kickstarting, which I think is like things like this are so important for, that's the most beautiful part of it all for me. Just seeing people inspiring each other and like bringing each other along into like new areas. Yeah, I don't know. This is so fun and lovely. I feel like I talked too much and should have listened more.
Not at all.
Not
Like,
at all.
hopefully we'll have you on again.
Yes,
And this the
for
next time
real.
I will be on the other side of the Kickstarter because I will get over my fear of them and jump in.
I think we should do a whole thing where we convince Stacy and tell her what to do, and we figure out together.
Just
her
tell me what to do.
Kickstarter.
No, actually, no, don't tell me what to do. Just do it. That's what I like.
I have had people, primarily folks with big YouTube channels, who like, in order to force themselves to do it for accountability, they kind of do all the planning like live on their feeds. So maybe
Yeah.
you need something like that.
I definitely have. I know I suffer anxieties, like, and so I will freak out before, but then when I start going into it, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad, and I'll
That's
be
exactly.
fine. But my first thing is always like, and I freeze up. So I think trying with Dana first and taking those steps in, I'll be like, oh, I got it. Okay.
It's
Oh yeah, and if you're
I'm being
working with
silly,
Dana,
Yeah.
if
but
you are working with Dana and being advised by Willow, my God, you're done. You're golden.
It's going to be a dream. It's serious. It's about time. So I'm excited for everything that's coming from so many different authors on Kickstarter, and especially from Stacy. So, so thank you so much for coming on, guys. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments for us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Definitely tag some authors who you think should be on Kickstarter and give us some ideas for special editions. We love you so much for that. And thank you for joining us.
thank you so much.
for
We'll have
having
you back
me.
Thank you.
again.
I know.
Yay,
Again.
can't wait.